Hi, and welcome to the read aloud version of It's Like This. I'm glad you're here. This is issue number 10 for July 6th, 2021. 22. My son turned 22 this past weekend, and just like every birthday, it's hard to not think about what I was doing at that age. The year I turned 22, his dad and I were newly married. I had just graduated from college. The U.S. president inaugurated that year was the first I'd had a chance to vote for. I was living away from my parents for the first time, not counting dorm life, and beginning to figure out what I was going to be as a grown-up. My son's life looks pretty different. At 22, my son won't drive or vote or get married. He's not going to college. And it's going to take a little more to figure out what he wants to do with his time post-school. It's a different life for him, and for me as his mom. But I do have one thing in common with other moms of young adults, whether their kids are getting ready to move out or practicing independent skills while staying home. My friend sent me this quote recently. "Motherhood is really about accepting the fact that you will be permanently worried for the rest of your life." Ain't that the truth? The year I turned 22, the movie Groundhog Day came out, that film which has now become shorthand for being stuck in a loop of the same thing happening again and again. That seems right, since that movie is a fitting metaphor for our life at my son's 22nd birthday. But unlike Bill Murray, my kid feels comfort in sameness. He chooses to watch the same movies and wear the same shirts. He prefers the same routines and the same meals. It's Groundhog Day here on many days, and he'd like it to stay that way. My son watches his shows from his favorite spot in the cozy corner of his L-shaped sofa. Despite the fact that this cushion has been steadily sagging from overuse, that's where he sits, mostly ignoring the rest of the couch. But in a moment of agitation a couple weeks ago, he slammed himself down hard in that corner, and I heard and he felt a spring snap. He was not happy with how much his spot was sinking after that. In the week it took for someone to come out and look at it, my son added the words couch and fix it and broke it to his daily repertoire. Generally, when furniture is moved around for cleaning or rearranging or, God forbid, decorating, our son is flustered until things are returned to their proper positions. But when the repairman took his couch apart, my kid was merely curious. He knew, of course, that it needed fixing, and he happily helped put the room back in order when the repair was done, so we could return to his regularly scheduled programming. A couple weeks ago, I took advantage of my son's preference for sameness and enlisted his help to clean up the backyard. He donned work gloves and spent a few minutes with me sweeping up dirt, moving pots, and taking down the low fence that I had installed in an attempt to save our baby quail. See issue number 8. The fence that mostly worked. It was a dramatic weekend when those eggs finally hatched, involving tiny chicks trapped in my tall geranium pot, 2 frantic, chirping quail parents running around our patio, failed attempts to give them better ramps that further terrorized them, 1, then 2 chicks boosting themselves up on the plants to escape, and an overturned pot releasing the remaining birdies and 1 unhatched egg. The day continued into the evening with a family of quail stuck in the corner of our yard, the parents repeatedly leaving over the block wall or pool safety fencing, then returning to their stubby-winged babies who couldn't fly to follow them. And a worried adoptive parent of the humankind, keeping the dog away, pleading with the birds from the windows, and putting out birdseed and water to lure them in the right direction. Finally, the next morning, I saw the quail family leave under our back gate. Phew. But later that day, we made the sad discovery of 1 baby bird in the pool's filter basket. I have no idea how he got over my barriers, but it had been a chaotic birthday. Poor thing. My son and I were both relieved to restore the backyard to its pre-quail nesting days, and I'm glad most of them made it out of our yard alive. I am hoping to catch a glimpse of them, or what's left of the brood by now, when the chicks learn to fly and they can follow their parents to walk across our block fence. This is the closest I'll come to feeling like an empty nester. It'd be nice if they'd stop by to say hi. We had a quiet celebration for my son's birthday this past weekend, mostly revolving around baking and eating and baking and eating. Groundhog Day on sugar. On the 4th, our neighbors set off ground-level fireworks in the street out front, and we watched the larger community display in the distance from our second-floor balcony. The kid was only mildly interested and mostly stayed inside. Just like 22 years ago, when my husband and I saw the fireworks from our baby's hospital room window on the night after his birth, we're still watching fireworks from afar with our son close by. Still hoping to build a life of safety and happiness for our little one. Our little one just happens to be a big guy now. So our kid may not be doing many of the things that we were doing when we were his age. That's okay. We'll do our best. Besides, there's one really fun thing that my son and I will have in common this summer. When I was 22, in the summer of 1993, my new husband and I were living in Flagstaff, Arizona. I was the production stage manager for a summer repertory theater, managing an ensemble of actors and tech crews putting up 3 shows in rotation. Such fun work. But I do remember being distracted on a few of those rehearsal nights by the excitement of basketball, running out to my car on breaks to catch bits of the NBA playoff games on the radio. Yeah, there were no cell phones at the ready to check the scores. But even back then, we had Al McCoy to give us the play-by-play for our Phoenix Suns. And now, in 2021, the Suns have made it to the NBA Finals again, for the first time since I was 22. So here's hoping that my son will get to see a more triumphant outcome for our hometown team this time around. Go Suns! Thanks as always for reading and now for listening. This is Robin Lavoie, and life around here, it's like this.